Hello, welcome back to the channel. So yesterday, the 20th of December, marks the final paycheck that I'm going to receive in 2024. It also means that the festive period is just around the corner, and we all know what that means. No, not just giving gifts, but it does mean we get to do a 2024 audit of my savings. So, let's go. So to start, I just thought I'd explain briefly what this means. So for me, I try to do this every year, which is that I have a budget or a forecast of what I'm predicting that I'm going to save over that year. And then I look back over the period to see what I did actually save and the reasons why I was either above or below that budgeted target. The way I do this, as you will all be aware, is with a spreadsheet. I was going to just show you through my spreadsheet, but actually I thought it would be really interesting just to build one from the ground up, building up my entire year from the start of 2024 to the end. So you guys can follow along. Maybe this is something you want to implement looking backwards, or indeed, because we are at the end of the year, you might like this idea and think about starting it in January, and then carrying it through to the end of 2025. So let's take a look. So here we go. And to start with, we're going to be doing some heavy Excel work. So I am going to just remove my bracelet and watch because that is the most important thing. You can tell it's about to get intense when we're doing this. So in front of me, just below, I have a printout of a couple of the bits of information that I need. I'll explain what information I'm looking at, and then you'll probably be able to pick this up yourselves if you want to follow along using your own numbers. So to start with, I'm just going to again pick B2. Seem to love B2, always great. And I'm just going to start by listing out my current bank accounts. So bear with me a second while I quickly fill this in. Okay, so there we go. That is the start point. So what I tend to do is just put where my current savings are at right now. So yesterday, when I last got paid, I transferred the last amount of savings into my account, and that's given me a grand total of £11,613.82 across all of my ISAs, stocks and shares ISAs, bank account savings, you name it. That is everything liquid that I have to date right now. I also thought that I'd just add a quick column in there. This just shows you, I know I mentioned the Trading 212 account. I have only just started paying into this, but it really clearly shows the interest that I've earned. So on the cash ISA, I put £1,800 in. I've earned £8.96. So not bad, free money. Why not? Have it in the account. And then on the stocks and shares earnings, I put £650 in and I earned £18.18. So as some of you mentioned in some of my previous videos, stocks and shares ISAs do tend to increase more because they're invested. But like I said, it can go up as well as down. So I tend to leave more at the moment in my cash ISA for, well, reasons that I'll explain as we go through the rest of this breakdown. Okay, so this is the step that I would have done at the start of the year, which is to put in the budget amount that I'm looking to save. So bear with me a second while I quickly just put that in. Okay, so that's the budget amount in. As you can see, I started with £14,608 and the plan was to save £1,000 per month. So I would have ended up, had I followed that, on £26,608. Now, as you can see, we are quite far off of that number. So this is where the fun bit happens, which is we can investigate what I actually spent and backtrack to find out where the money has gone effectively, and maybe use this going forward into 2025. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to include my actuals in a column to the right hand side, and we can look at where the differences lie. Okay, so there you can see there are some positives and negatives in there. We've ended up back to the 11614, so we know that we've put in the correct numbers. So all of it ties up so far, but you can see there's a vast difference between budget and the actuals. If you bear with me a second, I'm just going to clean that up just so it illustrates the positives and negatives a bit. And there you go. Just helps you see where the positives and negatives are a lot more easily. So we started off really well. We then took a dip here quite drastically. We're back on track in March, another dip in April. These months lower than expected, so we'll have to look into why that was. There was a really big dip in August, so we'll definitely need to investigate what that was. Back on track for September. October, November, down a bit. And then December, we took another 1,000 hit there. So we'll have to have a look into why that was. Now what I tend to do is to the right of this, I put a actuals breakdown. So this just really splits out everything that we've just put into this column here, this column F. So let's do that now and we will see where we get to at the end of it. Okay, so there we go. Really kind of quick, rough and ready look. And as you can see, it totals back to the amount that we have reduced by. So actually up here, what I can quickly type in is a little check. So we can say 14608 as our start number. We can put equals this number here. And then if we do equals the sum of those two, it should get us back to our 11. Yeah, cool. So that one works. So we know what we put in is correct. And then from there, what we can do is quickly go through and I might clean this up slightly, a little bit more before we do anything. Yeah, wait a minute a second. Let me clean this up a little bit just to make it look a bit neater and then we can go through and talk about it. Okay, there we go. I think that looks a lot cleaner and it really helps to illustrate exactly where my money has gone over the year. So what I now like to do before I beat myself up too much about going negative rather than positive is actually put in some of the rationale and look through each of the categories, what I've listed out, and if actually it doesn't look or it isn't as bad as it looks. So let's quickly pop a column in for explanations and we can run through those. Okay, so going down the list, let's have a look. So this first one was I needed new motorcycle tyres, so that is a necessity. Can't ride the bike without them. They're quite expensive for my bike and I didn't have necessarily the funds liquid in my current account. So I dipped into my savings for 706 and this effectively was new tyres for the bike and I also got some heated grips added because it was winter and cold at the time. So that one is okay. I think new tyres. Because I can't do this myself, so it's kind of a necessity, and heated grips. So we can add that in. The next one is for the house and the car. So I put these kind of as categories, don't necessarily need to explain them too much. Hold on a second, I'm just going to remove that conditional formatting. So the property and the car, so this was the small sports car that I bought at the start of the year. Now, I have this down as investments because although I do think a car is a waste of money to a point, and I did buy this as a bit of a toy, I did end up gifting this to a family member for Christmas. So I actually kind of think it was worth it. It was a really nice gesture, really something that I've wanted to do for a while. So I used it for the summer. I gave it away a couple of months back and they can now use it next summer, and it's just quite a nice thing to do. So it's only £1,000. I added that into the current amount of cash I had in my bank account to pay for it, so it was tiny bit over £1,000 plus insurance tax, MOT, etc., etc. So out of my savings came £1,000 for that. I also sent £1,000 over for the property we're building in Europe. So I don't need to really explain those two. They've got two separate columns. I think that's fine. Again, in April, we had so this is when we came over to Europe to visit the property. So that also cost a bit of money, like plane tickets, etc. And we also brought some money over with us to put into the property. So that one I think is fine. That explains that. I'm happy with it. May 24, this was just a light month of saving. I think what happened is because it was late April that we visited, it then flowed into May, so I was only able to save 472, and this is okay, it happens, right? The budget amount of £1,000 is there as a target. You might not always hit that, some months you might go over it, like you can see in January I did, but for this case, I didn't, I stayed under, which it is what it is, that's what happened, so I'm not going to beat myself up too much about that. The next one is when we went to Venice, and the following one we did a European beach trip. So I put up videos about both of those trips. I think they were absolutely fantastic and well worth it, but I didn't save as much as I wanted to in that month because as well as cash flowing it and using Amex points, I also had to use some of my money towards that in the month rather than putting into savings. So I think experiences are worth it. You only live once, right? And provided we're still able to save a little bit, fine, that's absolutely fine by me, so I'm cool with that. The next one is a big one. So this was £6,000. This went straight into the property. So this is another Europe visit. So we did come over to Europe to see this. I have some footage which I'm putting up in 2025 about the property investment, and this was kind of the real start of that kicking off. So I'm not too bothered about that. I think that one's okay, and that is ultimately why I've saved up as much money as I had done previously, is start putting into the property. So I'm okay with it. In October, we also had a UK staycation. So that cost us a bit of money. I went back up to where I went to university. I've got some family up there, see them, and I also saw a friend that I hadn't seen for like 8 years. So booked a hotel, stayed up there for a long weekend. It was so worth it. So I'm happy we did it. Again, that is what I consider money being for, so I'm fine with it. And then finally in December, so this one will just come on now, is another Europe trip, which is, so we came over with some money to put into the property, and again, I've been filming all this month, kind of bits and pieces on that process, so I'm looking forward to bringing you guys that in the new year. So that is really it. Let me just clean this up quickly. I didn't mention I had a small bonus from work at the start of the year, and I also got some birthday money, so I put that into my bank and that went straight into savings at the start of the year, Jan 24, so that's what those two small amounts are. But aside from that, that's kind of really all there is to do. This is what I do every year. I just have a quick review. I don't tend to beat myself up too much about being lower than what I planned for. As you can see, most of it went into investments, so £11,000 in my mind was investments, and I only wasted £700. So although on face value it looks like we didn't hit what we wanted to, which was the 26k, 11 of that was actually invested, which is what the money was there for, which is quite good. Also up here, just for your reference, I did put the interest, I think I've mentioned that, so that's what that is, and this is what I've actually input into those accounts. And net overall, we reduced by basically £3,000 over the year, but hopefully this illustrates that that's not always a bad thing. I think what my key takeaway from doing this is that money in the bank isn't absolutely everything. As long as I've got a buffer, which I still do, I've got about a year's worth of living expenses if I really had to cut down. All of the rest of my cash, as I've mentioned in previous videos, goes into investments, and I think that's very important. Like, cash, although good to have as a liquid asset, is a depreciating asset because of interest and inflation and things like that. So what I try to do is to convert that into assets that will be long-standing, such as property, throughout the year, and that's what we have been doing, which has been it's been a great process. I'm really excited to share that with you guys. Also, I like to convert it, as you can see, into holidays and trips and things. I never used to do this in my early years. If you are an accountant or if you've watched my accountancy video, you'll know that a lot of my younger years were spent studying. I didn't have a lot of money. I really kind of doubled down into investing into my future, which is kind of where I'm at now. I'm at that kind of turning point where I can spend on these trips and enjoy them while I'm still young enough to enjoy them, but also keep investing into the future. So that's really what I want to try and hone in on this, is that don't beat yourselves up too much. If you can cash flow a trip and you really want to go on it, go for it. Why not? Enjoy yourselves. Just make sure that you are investing into your future is what I try and do anyway, and that's what I advocate for. That being said, guys, that's it for this week's episode. I really pushed myself to get this one out for you because I've seen the vast amount of support on the channel. It's been absolutely tremendous. I hope you guys like this sort of content. This won't be every single video that I do will be spreadsheets, but I just really thought that this one aligns to where I'm at right now, and I wanted to just show you guys what I do in a hope that if it helps you guys, then you can use it too. And with that, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. We're almost at 1,500 now, which is way beyond what I thought we would get to. It's been one of the best Christmas presents, is having the support of this channel and watching this channel grow. So thank you all so much. It's been great. I hope you have a great Christmas and an amazing New Year. And I will speak to you guys in the new year. But for now, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.